I just want to welcome those to the second in a series of 6 webinars that we're doing for local businesses on or close to the International Appalachian Trail Ulster Ireland route. My name is Beverly McGowan and I work for Outdoor Recreation NI. I'm their marketing manager, and Outdoor Recreation NI is the organisation behind that will be delivering a marketing project for the trail. So the council areas and lag areas that are on the trail were successful in funding through a north-south cooperation project through the Rural Development Programme, and as part of that we will be delivering a marketing project. So just to give you a wee bit of background on the actual trail itself. So the International Appalachian Trail Ulster Ireland was actually launched in Ireland in August 2013, and basically it's a continuation of one of the largest trail networks. Oh, we've another person. Great. I'll just continue on, and we can welcome Martin in whenever he connects. And basically the trail, I suppose, first started as the Appalachian Trail in America. So the Appalachian Mountains were formed more than 250 million years ago when the Earth plates collided to form the supercontinent. And then whenever today's plates separated to form the Atlantic Ocean, remnants of those mountain ranges were found not only just in America but all over the world, even as far as North Africa. So in 1994, conservationist Dick Anderson had thought of an idea, why don't we continue this trail to all those geographic regions that were once connected by that mountain range. And I suppose that's when the International Appalachian Trail then was born. So there's 23 chapters or sections all over the world, and one of which includes Ireland. So the trail has been given quite a significant amount of investment in the last year, and that's really to carry out two kind of areas, or two types of work on the trail. First of all, there'll be a range of trail improvement works, and they're being carried out by the lag areas on the trail. And then Outdoor Recreation and I, as I said, will be delivering a marketing project. And that's really just to raise awareness of the trails to local visitors and international visitors and regional visitors as well. Because I suppose from the trail was launched in 2013, there's been very little marketing. So now we've been focusing on developing a new website, getting a new trail guide together, creating professional videos, getting together a suite of imagery. So we're trying to gather together content in preparation for a range of marketing or promotional campaigns that we will be carrying out. So that's where the marketing project is at this moment in time. So we're at a stage now where we want to engage with the local businesses, because we've done some research on who actually will visit the trail, what services they need. So we want to engage with local businesses to suggest how you can service those visitors and how you can get involved in our promotional campaigns. So I hope going by Tuesday night, I hope we'll run till around 8:30 if things keep on schedule. And we're going to have presentations so first up is Philip McShane from Derry City and STRABANE District Council. He's going to give us a presentation on the actual route in the Derry and STRABANE area and what trail improvement works he's been working on. And then I'm going to give a presentation on who we anticipate will visit the trail, what services they need, and how you can service that visitor. And then we'll have a presentation by Eve Nicholson from the Wales Coast Path marketing team. So she's going to outline how local businesses have adapted to their path and also their visitors. And then just after that, we'll just do a quick Q&A session, and then we'll just finish up after that. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to hand over to Philip McShane from Derry City and STRABANE District Council So Philip has kindly pre-recorded the presentation because I know his internet connection isn't great. So, but I know Philip, hopefully you'll be able to stay on for the Q&A afterwards if anybody has any questions.
My name is Philip McShane and I'm the Rural Tourism Officer with Derry City and Strabane District Council. Over the next few slides, I'm going to give an overview of the IAT capital development works within the context of the Rural Development Programme. In 2016, the local action groups and councils within the IAT Ulster Ireland catchment identified the development of the walking route as a north-south cooperation project through the Rural Development Programme. In this slide, I give a summary of the considerable investment given over to the development of this project. This next slide gives an overview of the key project outputs and the timeline associated with these outputs. Critical among these was the project scoping study carried out by Outdoor Recreation Northern Ireland in 2017. This study identified weaknesses and gaps in the service provision along the route and also made a number of recommendations for improvements to the route. The 2017 project scoping study focused on a number of key areas. These included the trail's physical course, trail infrastructure and condition, waymarking, signage and interpretation. The study proposed a total of 21 actions for the Derry City and Strabane District Council section of route. A number of the actions identified were aspirational and provide the basis for the longer-term strategic enhancement of the trail. A significant number of the actions identified, however, were selected for delivery within the context of the Rural Development Programme. The following slides give an overview of the capital works carried out within Derry and Strabane. A key recommendation of the project scoping study was the rerouting of certain sections of the International Appalachian Trail. Within our own area, we carried out two reroutes, one within Cleator Forest and the other off the busy B50 Castledare Road near Drumleaga. The reroute into Cleator Forest required a number of new installations. These included an interpretive panel, 3 wooden finger posts and a new stile. The project scoping study also noted that, unlike other council areas, there were no visitor counters measuring usage of the International Appalachian Trail within Derry and Strabane. We addressed this gap by installing 2 visitor counter units, one at Cleator Forest and the second at Barnes within the Glenelly Valley. Access to and waymarking of the Barnescourt Estate section of the International Appalachian Trail was also identified as an area requiring improvement. Here we installed wooden finger posts, additional waymarkers, as well as a number of interpretive panels. The project scoping study also recommended the installation of seating and other infrastructure at key rest and viewpoints. We carried out works at 3 locations, Cleator Village, Plumbridge and on the Barnescourt Estate. The works in Cleator Village included the installation of a large milestone artwork feature, the installation of 2 stylised interpretive panels, the installation of cycle stands, the refurbishment and rebranding of 2 existing interpretive panels, and the installation of 2 new interpretive panels on the external wall of Cleator Heritage Centre. On the Barnescourt Estate, we installed a picnic table and seating unit, as well as 1 interpretive panel. The works in Plumbridge involved the rebranding and refurbishment of existing interpretive panels and the repainting of existing street furniture. This approach of refurbishing and rebranding existing infrastructure was also adopted elsewhere. Examples include interpretive panels at Maharakeel, and awareness. Waymarking, signage and interpretation was also identified as being problematic along our section of the International Appalachian Trail. We addressed this by installing approximately 60 wooden waymarkers and 10 finger posts. To improve the visitor experience, we also installed caution walkers signage where required on busy roads. These signs have been installed at the Big Bridge in Cleator Forest, on the Lisleen Road near Killen, on the Cashty Road at Barnescourt, and on the Glenelly Road near Sperrin. As referenced previously, there were also waymarking improvements made to the Barnescourt Estate section of the IAT. The works included the installation of 12 waymarker posts, 2 metal finger posts and 2 wooden finger posts. Substantial investments under waymarking signage and interpretation were also carried out at Cleator, at the Big Bridge Trailhead, at Barnett's Gap Car Park and at Goldstone Row. The work at Cleator's Big Bridge involved an uplift to the existing amenity as well as the installation of a picnic table and seating unit and a new interpreter panel. The improvement works at Barnes included the upgrade to existing infrastructure and the installation of new infrastructure. New installations included a shelter, interpretation and a visitor counter unit. Goldstone Row is a site of historic interest located in the Glenelly Valley. Unfortunately, the site had fallen into a state of disrepair and an upgrade was needed to improve the visitor experience. Improvement works here included boundary enhancement, hedge removal and the installation of a new IAT branded interpreter panel. The project scope and study also recommended improvements to existing on-trail visitor information provision. This was achieved through the reworking of 25 existing interpreter panels and the installation of 11 new interpreter panels. Each of the panels use the new IAT branding and contain information on local history, heritage and culture, as well as information on the physical nature of the trail itself. That concludes the presentation, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Philip, for that very comprehensive presentation. Some really good improvement works that are going on. I was actually up walking at Barnescourt Estate and seeing the interpretation panel, so I thought they looked really well, so well done. I'm going to present next on who we anticipate who's going to visit the trail, so the different visitor types, what services they require and how, just giving ideas on how you can service those visitors and where the gaps are and what the service provision is like in the Derry and Strabane area. So just to let you know that this next couple of slides is pre-recorded. Just in case you're wondering why I'm introducing myself again, it's just that we would like to use this first section of the recording for all of the webinars, and then the latter half will be unique to the area. So I'll just present on those in person. Good evening, everybody. My name is Beverly McGowan. I'm Outdoor Recreation NI's Marketing Manager, and I'm also leading the marketing project for the International Appalachian Trail Ulster, Ireland. And this evening, my presentation is going to go over how local businesses can benefit from and service visitors to the trail. So just to give you an overview of the route itself, it's 280 miles in length, which equates to around 450 kilometres. And there in the black on the left hand side, you'll see that it starts at West Donegal at Slieve League. It passes through the Blue Stack Mountains before then it picks up the Ulster Way in Northern Ireland. It goes through the Sperrin Mountains, then up towards the Causeway Coast before making its way down through the glens of Antrim and then finishing in Larne. So who is actually going to visit the trail? So based on previous research that we've done with other long distance trails, so the likes of the Southwest Coast Path and the Wales Coast Path, which you'll hear more about later on, we anticipate the majority of visitors will be short distance walkers. So 70 to 80% will be short distance walkers. So those that have maybe seen the trail on Facebook or their local newspaper and they want to experience it, but they certainly don't want to experience a long section of it. They just want to maybe walk 2 to 5 miles. And we will hear from Eve Nicholson from the Wales Coast Path that the actual average stretch walked along it is actually just 3 miles long. And another group falling into this category would be previous long distance and through walkers that have walked the IAT, but they want to come back now and walk a short distance because they're maybe getting a wee bit older. Then a third of visitors we expect to be actual walkers, so medium to long distance walkers. So they'll be walkers that will walk maybe 10 to 15 miles per day over multiple days, over weekends, over weeks, or they will complete the route in its entirety. And those walkers will require walking specific services, which I'll go on to talk about. So this just breaks down the visitor even further, just gives you a wee bit more detail on their motivations and who they are. So first of all, the short distance walker, the IAT is only one part of their trip. They will be doing other things while they're here, and they really only want to experience a short section of it. They don't want to be on it all day long. They're still keen to hear about it and learn about the history of the trail, so they're keen to go on a guided walk. Then we have the actual walker, which is broken down into 3 groups. So we've got the medium distance, the long distance, and the through walker. So the medium distance walker, they'll enjoy walking as part of, or it might be the main reason for their trip, and they'll complete 1 or more days walking, and they may book some walking services. Then we have the long distance walker, who's an enthusiastic walker, and definitely they will come and visit because it's the main reason for their trip. And they'll participate in 1 week of walking or completing large sections of longer distance trails, and they're very interested in bagging trails, so if you like, putting them on their bucket list. Then we have the through walker. The through walker will walk the IAT in 1 go. It's in its entirety. They're an avid walker, and you could say that they're someone seeking solitude, and they've completed other significant long distance trails before. And they are very self-sufficient, so they'll carry all their own food and pitch their own tent. So the requirement for walking services is less with the through walker. And through this marketing project, we'll be carrying out 2 marketing campaigns, one in Ireland and one in America, because of those links with the Appalachian Trail. There's lots of people in America who've done the Appalachian Trail that would be interested in completing this trail. So what services do they require? We'll start off with the short distance walker because that's going to be the majority of visitors. So again, as I mentioned before, they're keen to hear and learn about the trail, so that they are interested in going on a guided walk, a short guided walk, and they're keen to have refreshments and toilet stop maybe before or after their guided walk, and tea and coffee and scones. And then because one of the marketing campaigns we will be carrying out is in America, some Americans will have hire cars and some won't. So there may be a requirement for a shuttle service to and from their hotel to the start point of the different walks. The medium to long distance walker will require accommodation, food and drink, shuttle services to and from their hotel. They might require luggage transfers to their next accommodation, and some more so than the medium distance walker may require walk guides and learn about the trail as they go from the walk guide. So how can local businesses service these walkers? I understand that some businesses will be reluctant to offer services at the start until the trail is well established and attracting a significant amount of visitors. But again, it is like that chicken and egg scenario, that until there's walker services available, and packages available, that's what's going to attract more walkers to the trail. So based on who we anticipate that's going to visit the trail, we would recommend that local businesses focus on providing for that short distance walker, because at the end of the day that's going to be 70 to 80% of visitors. Whether it's offering guided walks, providing storytelling, partnering up with a local cafe to offer tea, coffee and scones before or after the walk, and if you can, provide shuttle services for those that may need to and from their accommodation. And even though the number of medium to long distance walkers initially will be lower until the trail is well established, it is still worth providing for that visitor, because that's still going to be a third of the visitors. So whether that's offering packages that include accommodation or packed lunches that walkers can take out with them during the day and when they're walking, and evening meals when they get back, whether there's walk guides for the longer distance sections of the trail, and offering shuttle services and luggage transfers as well. And don't forget, if you can't provide all of the visitor services in one package, then there's lots of people and lots of businesses on this call that you can partner up with and work collaboratively to provide for that visitor. So whether that's just a walk guide partnering up with a local cafe to offer tea, coffee and scones after their guided walk, it's all about working in partnership. So to help you stand out and be really proactive in attracting walkers to your business, there's some things that you can do just to tailor your current offering. So whether that's offering storage, washing and drying facilities for walkers' equipment, providing information on local IAT walks, so giving them access to the new IAT website, which will be IATUlsterIreland.com, and that will contain information on the route and all the walking services. You can stock the new trail guide that we're producing, provide information on local walk guides, offer shuttle services and luggage transfers if they're required, offering a hot drink after a long day's walking, which I know would be really welcomed, providing access to kitchen facilities early in the morning to for walkers to prepare food, or offer early breakfasts before they head out, providing walkers discounts. Something that's really useful and I really recommend all the businesses to do along the route is to recce the route and just really get to know it and put yourself in walkers' shoes just to understand what they might require. And then lastly is thinking maybe about becoming pet friendly, just because more and more walkers are going out walking with their dogs. And here's just some examples, just to give you a wee bit of inspiration of how these businesses are standing out and attracting walkers. So, discounts for walkers, or there's drying facilities. The two pictures on the right hand side are pictures from accommodation providers in America along the Appalachian Trail. So you've got some quirky walking boots just along the fence, and then you've got an Appalachian Trail sign within the accommodation. On the left hand bottom left, we've just got a sign outside a local pub for attracting, welcoming walkers and welcoming their pets. And then in the middle there is a coffee cart that it's actually set up along the Lagan towpath, and they've got picnic tables all around it. So for walkers that are walking the Lagan towpath, they can stop and have coffee and pastries and sit down and enjoy them. So from October time, Outdoor Recreation and I will be running 3 marketing campaigns that you can get involved in. So we'll be running one in Northern Ireland and Donegal, and we'll be doing launch events, and we'll be using those to kickstart those campaigns. We'll be running a campaign in Ireland, and then we'll be running a campaign in North America, just because of the links with the Appalachian Trail. So in North America, we'll be targeting those people that have walked the Appalachian Trail to come and do the International Appalachian Trail here. And then we will also, for the short distance walker, we will be using the likes of tour operators that have itineraries already in Northern Ireland and Donegal, and we will also be using Tourism Ireland to promote direct to the American consumer. Because we have such a limited budget in North America for that short distance walker, we want to focus on IAT walks that are close to areas that are famous and well known by the American visitor, and some places that they're already maybe going to visit anyway. So the likes of Loch Esk, Giant's Causeway, the Ulster American Folk Park. So there's two ways that you can get your business promoted. First of all, you can get a listing on the website itself. And then what you can also do is submit an IAT experience for the website, and we will use those experiences to promote in marketing campaigns. Now, there's nothing that you need to do really at the minute. Outdoor recreation staff will be in touch with you to help you and support you in creating and developing IAT experiences, or just simply tailoring your own offering. And we will also send you, we can send content on the International Appalachian Trail Ulster Island. We can send photos, we can send videos, we can send press releases, so that you can promote the trail on your website and social media platforms too. So I'm just gonna chip in here as an actual person. That's the recording finished. So just, I suppose, to make this specific to this webinar and the businesses that are on this webinar, excuse me, I'm gonna go through some maps of the visitor services that are currently in the Derry and Strabane area. So Kerry, if you could flick on for me. Great, thank you. So this is starts off with the western section of the route in Derry and Strabane. So you'll see there, you know, the blue box is food and drink, the yellow box is accommodation, and the pink box is walk-in providers. So you can see there's and the blue line, sorry, is the actual route line. So there's sufficient accommodation and places to eat and drink. Although what I would say is, you know, shuttle services or pickups are often required because most aren't actually on the route itself. And, you know, they're located off the route, so people would have to then travel to and from those places. Castlederg and Newtown Stewart are very, I suppose, important kind of hub towns for service provision. And then there's also, it's just worth noting that there's no camping, there's no service camping in the Derry City and Strabane District Council area. There is I will go on to talk a wee bit about Fermanagh and Omagh, because the route does, the two sections in Derry City and Strabane kind of is intersected by a section in Fermanagh and Omagh. So there is a caravan park in Fermanagh and Omagh, which I'll show on the next slide. But I suppose it's worth also noting that even though there's sufficient accommodation, you know, in this part of the route, obviously, hopefully, our marketing campaigns will encourage visitors and that visitor growth. It's just worth noting whether will this increase affect availability. And even though, you know, you can see there that like we've included, you know, grocery shops and chippies and things. And, you know, to some people that provision is probably very basic. You know, you've got a shop and chippy there in Killeder. In Killen, you've got a pub and shop in Drumlega. Excuse my pronunciation of some of these areas. There's a shop, and yes, they might be basic, but to a long distance walker, you know, they're often quite you know, luxurious and very much welcomed. So just up on the pink box there, I haven't actually listed any walk-in providers because we do have a range of walk-in providers in the area. So there's Far and Wild, there's Landscape and Countryside Tours. Martin, I know you're on the call there. There's Derry Blue Badge Guide. If there's anybody else, you know, on the call or anybody I'm missing, please let me know, and we'll definitely get you listed up on the website. So Kerry, if you could just move on to the next slide. So this is actually a section in Fermanagh and Omagh District Council area, and it's basically the reason why I've included this is because the two sections, and as I said earlier, the two sections in Derry and Strabane are, you know, are intersected by Fermanagh and Omagh. So you will see that, so it is worth highlighting the services in this area because, you know, they're in the middle. And even though this section is very rural, you know, you can still see there's a good amount of service provision. You know, you've got the Mellon Country Inn, you've got Gorchin Accommodation Activity Centre, just basic accommodation, and then you've got a number of B&Bs and self-catering, and then you've got a caravan park as well. Even though, now correct me if I'm wrong, but even though I don't think there's any dedicated walking guides in the area, there is a number of providers that operate elsewhere who know this area and could operate in this area. So I would say that the provision in this area is sufficient. So then, Kerry, if you just go on to the next slide. So back now again to Derry City and Strabane. So you'll see this would be the eastern section of the route in Derry and Strabane. You'll see that this is along the Glenealy Valley, and it does have very poor provision. Most of it there you can see is, or all of it you can see is in Plumbridge, and that again, that's located off the route, so that would require, shuttle services. There is a small amenity centre at Barnes Gap that Philip talked about, so it has picnic benches and bins and shelter and toilets, interpretation panels, etc. But obviously nowhere for to get food and drink. But I think that possibly is under review, and it's just worth noting as well that there is a review of toilet provision in the council area, the whole council area, but it does include sites that are on the route. So it does include sites at Plumbridge, Crana, and Barnes Amenity facility as well. So Kerry, if you just flick on to the next slide there. So this is just, I suppose, my analysis of visitor services on a very broad level. So you'll see, the western side there, that first map that I showed up, there was quite a lot of provision. So I would say that's very sufficient. Although most of it is off the route, it does require pickups, but there's definitely service provision there. The eastern side, not so much. So, there is opportunities there for accommodation and food and drink on the eastern side. And walk-in service provision, it's definitely sufficient. There's a range of walk-in providers that are operating in the area. So Kerry, if you just move on to the next slide for me. So I suppose, what does those gaps then present for businesses? First of all, it's worth highlighting, the short distance walkers, because we've established that, that is going to be the majority of the visitor. So IAT short guided walks with refreshments using the area's unique selling points. So, the Sparran Mountains, the unspoiled landscape, the Irish traditions that are still happening in the area, such as cutting bog and storytelling, all that are definitely unique selling points of that area and should definitely be incorporated into any guided walks in the area. Then for medium and long distance walkers, to service those walkers, whether that's offering walk-in packages with the services that they will require, so accommodation, evening meal, packed lunch, shuttle service, guides, luggage transfers. Then I've mentioned the accommodation and food and drink opportunities along the eastern section in the Glenealy Valley, where there is not very much provision currently. Shuttle services to and from those kind of hub towns, so like the likes of Castlederg, Newtown, Stewart and Plumbridge, where there is services that already exist, and they're not on the route, but they're not too far from it. Providing discounted services for the walk-in festival attendees, tailoring your current offering to attract walkers. That's just what, you tweaking what you currently already do. So whether that's a B&B wants to start now offering shuttle services, that would be greatly welcomed, but you don't have to set up a new business. It's just extending on to what you already do, and then promoting the trail as well on your social media platforms and website. So Kerry, if you can just flick on to the next slide for me. So as I said, my colleague Ethan will be in touch with all of you to help you develop, IAT experiences for the website, or whether it's just to if you want to extend or tailor your offering and let us know so that we can get that up onto the website and make sure that you're listed onto the website as well. And then whenever we have all that information, we start running our marketing campaigns, we'll be including your experiences and your business. So, but he will be in touch with you, but it's just in case, if anybody does want to get in touch in the meantime, you can note down his email address. So it's ethan@outdoorrecreationni.com. So it's just to note, it's quite a long email address. It's 2 R's and 2 N's. and that will get through to him. So Kerry, so that's me finished. My presentation. I was going to thank myself there, but so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand you over to Eve Nicholson from the Wales Coast Path marketing team. Now, Eve's not with us tonight. She's a pre-recorded presentation, but she has let us know if anybody has any questions or anything on any of her presentation, or even on the Wales Coast Path itself. She has included her email address in the presentation so that either you can get in touch with her or you can get in touch with us and we can ask her for you.
Hello, I'm Eve Nicholson and I work for the Wales Coast Path team here in Wales. We've been asked by the Outdoor Recreation Northern Ireland to talk about how we engage with businesses along the way. Firstly, let's introduce ourselves. The Wales Coast Path is 870 miles long and it is a footpath that follows the entire Welsh coastline. It was officially launched open for business in May 2012 as one of the few coastal footpaths in the world around the country. We do a variety of business to business and business to consumer marketing activities, and we work very closely with Visit Wales, which is the tourism arm of Welsh Government and Welsh Government, who are the funders of the path. We have a dedicated team of path officers covering all of those marketing sectors that you see on the image, as well as a small marketing team. If you have time, there is a video there which is basically an overview of what the path means to different people through drone footage and interviews. The path also incorporates some well-used and existing walking routes that were already marketed as coastal walking routes, such as the Isle of Anglesey in North Wales, Ceredigion in Midwest, and it also includes the Pembrokeshire Coast Path in the west, which is already part of the Appalachian Trail. So who are our target audiences? So when I was thinking about who we actually target, I was thinking of the types of behaviours and kind of the trends that our audiences display on our social media, and also the people who we've met along the way on the path. And these are the kind of traits that really spring to mind. So we have those who are adventurous, who already know about the path and they're all very enthusiastic walkers anyway. They tend to want to through hike or walk the path over a long period of time, and some do it over 5, 6, 7 years, so there's lots of repeat visits. We have those who are just find out about the path and they are seeking more information, they're enthusiastic with the information they have to hand and they just want to start walking it. Then we have those new audiences who have yet to discover the Wales Coast Path, and recently new audiences for us have been the Welsh youth movement. So we've been working with the Earth, which is the national voluntary youth organisation here in Wales, as well as the Brownies, and also the National Churches Trust. We also market to coastal accommodation providers, such as those B&Bs, those campsites and hotels along the path, the travel trade, tour operators and travel agents with Visit Wales, and also coastal businesses, which may be cafes, shops, kiosks, that really make walking the path an experience. So those are the people who we market to on a B2B basis. So here are some key audience insights into our customers. Our 2015 visitor survey found that there was a nearly equal split between male and female visitors, and the average age of 53 years old. This is actually in reverse to what's on our social media following. On Facebook in particular, we have more females, but same age range. So that's quite an interesting observation. 59% of the Wales Coast Path walkers who were included in the survey actually resided in Wales, but there was also a large proportion of walkers from the North West England, South West Wales and the Midlands. The average spend is around £4.63 whilst on the path, so spending money on, say, drinks, a bit of food and things like that, and the average distance walked was 3 miles. Whilst we've been walking on the path, we've seen people from overseas, we've seen families, but we've also seen groups. So there's quite a variety of walkers on the path. So when we were asked how businesses have adapted to the path and its visitors, I did a quick Google search and I found these two hotels, both based in the southwest coast in Wales on the Gower Peninsula. Now you will see from the screenshots of their websites is that they know what their visitor wants, what the walker wants. So for example, the hotel on the left hand side, they have a dedicated walking page. They offer walking itineraries to take away, but they also offer facilities aimed at walkers specifically. So that's things like offering a packed lunch somewhere dry to dry their clothes, and provision of maps, which is always a really good thing, and those good things to offer. And the same with the one on the right, they actually link to our website to give their guests more information to help them plan their visit to the Wales Coast Path and to their accommodation. So this particular coastal accommodation really sprang to mind in terms of the way they market themselves on social media. So APPALACHIan Coastal Holidays, they are in West Wales on Ceredigion, and this is a screenshot of their Instagram account. Now the first thing that really strikes me is their inspirational content mixed in with details of their offer. So it's mainly about what you would find there in terms of the stunning scenery and the things to do. And when we spoke to them, they said they learned that the Coast Path is a really big draw for their visitors. So what they do now on their social media posts is that they put some detailed walks on their Instagram account. They do plenty of videos and they use our hashtags, and most importantly they tag us on their posts, and that's really good because it means that we can like, we can reshare, we can comment on all their great content, and it's good for customers to see what they're expecting. The one thing that I really did like about this particular social media account is that on the right hand side there, they have easy to access highlights. So there you see guest reviews, they have a bit about Coast Path, the beaches, the APPALACHIan and days out. And these are really easy to access information for their visitors. And the one thing that you probably can't see much on the actual presentation, but they've also put a window sticker in their window. Now, on previous business engagement events, we gave out window stickers which said Wales Coast Path welcoming walkers, and we encouraged the business at the time to put these up in their window for passing trade. And it's really as a way of raising brand awareness physically on the path, because it's 870 miles long, but you won't see a way marker, say, every mile, every 2 miles. So when you come to places along the path where there's buildings, it was important for us that there was a physical awareness of the logo and our ethos, and so they've taken on board and put the sticker in their window, which is really good for both of us, really. So thinking about the other businesses that we market to about the path, we thought of Anglesey Walking Holidays. So they specialise in guided coastal walks, and they also do those extra things like accommodation booking, providing maps, and working with other local businesses, for example, eateries, on suggestions on where to eat. And not only do they do walking holidays, they also offer cycling holidays. So there's an extra bit of activity that their walkers could do as well. The second business that we thought of was the Llŷn Coastal Bus Service. Now, this was initially a 2-year trial using grants from public sector, and now it's part of a Welsh Government transport initiative to have buses running in certain parts of Wales. Now, the USP for this service is that there is no fixed route or timetable. So walkers can book their space on the bus from wherever they start or finish on the path via phone or online booking. Now, this is a really big draw for this particular bus service because they're servicing a section of the path that has very little or no public transport on popular walking days. So they're available from Friday to Monday for a small fee. And the bonus about this is that it's also being used by locals along the coast path as well. So when we were asked about best practices in promoting the Wales Coast Path, we immediately thought of the experience of being on the path. So walking the Welsh coastline and soaking up our heritage and our unique language along the way is our USP. And Trade Insights found that when people come to Wales, they want an authentic experience. When they're out in the open, they want something uniquely Welsh. And also research shows that people like multi-activity holidays. So combining, say, walking with a bit of cycling, a bit of shopping and things like that. So with those insights in mind, we worked with Snowdonia Active, a not-for-profit organisation, which operates as a consultancy delivering projects linked to outdoor recreation, tourism and conservation in Wales. And as a part of an existing project, they were putting together a collection of memorable experiences. And these encourage the visitor to bond with Wales via distinctive and engaging products. So we thought, oh, this sounds really interesting. Let's see how this can work for Wales Coast Path and walking. So we ran a webinar, and it was aimed at businesses or individuals to see how they can combine their business or interest with the path. So the experience that is exampled here is a wild swim adventure with the Blue Tits. So the Blue Tits are a group of people who love swimming in the sea no matter what the weather is. So their experience, their offer is walk the coast path in Pembrokeshire and finish off with an organised swim in the sea, followed by a hot drink and great company. And this is quite a unique experience, and it gives our Wales Coast Path visitors a little bit of added extra value to their time in Wales. And we just thought that combining the Wales Coast Path walking with other experiences, it just gives a more rounded holiday experience. So how do we optimise or make the most of the customer journey along the path for customers to be able to experience the coast path at its best? So in terms of the reach part of the diagram here, we make sure that we have good quality visitor information on our website. So adhering to search engine optimization principles is really important so that people can find us easily online. We also use social media to deliver good content suited to our customers. So we share our walking itineraries according to what's trending or relevant at the time. So when it comes to summer holidays, we push out our family itineraries. And we also do printed leaflets about the path. And We get those distributed all over Wales, as well as inland areas to coastal accommodation, so B&Bs, campsites. We also do them where there's high footfall, such as supermarkets and libraries, and also at transport hubs, such as service stations and key areas where people enter Wales. We try and get people to act upon our marketing efforts. So, for example, we encourage people to join our Facebook community group. And this has been extremely popular during the summer, where people were doing staycations because of the pandemic. And so we had a lot of people joining the community group, asking where's the best place to start, and putting up inspiring pictures of their walks on the path. And this is a really good social listening tool for businesses to see what questions are people asking and see whether your business can plug those gaps in information. We also want people to download our Wales Coast Path app. We use augmented reality and drone footage and games on our app to help people discover the path in a different way, in a more fun way. But we also have a track my walk function, which is really aimed at those people who want to walk the path for long periods of time and to track their walk. And we also want people to download or share our walking itineraries on their social media. In terms of the Convert, we have our newsletters, which goes out as and when there are really relevant things to talk about. And we have a mixture of B2B and B2C subscribers. We roughly have about 1,400 subscribers at the moment. Each newsletter has a bit of stuff about current work and forward look, and it links to our marketing toolkits where appropriate. So these are really good also kind of things to catch up on, so that you know where we're going with our marketing and promotional activity. We want to engage with people on the path, so we definitely encourage user-generated content by sharing and commenting and liking. And with the Aberporth Coastal Holidays social media account on Instagram, that's a prime example of really using good imagery of where you are on the path to inspire, enthuse, and help people discover a different part of the Wales Coast Path. We also do live streams on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram where possible. Again, that real life feed is really engaging and it can be easily shared on social media channels. So how do we help businesses optimize the path? Well, we have developed a series of marketing toolkits. So the one on the far left is a marketing toolkit designed at any coastal businesses. And so this is basically a guide on how to use the pulling power of the Wales Coast Path, with top tips and insights in what we promote about the path, giving ideas such as packed lunches, providing maps, showing their visitors where they can walk. And the more information that people have at accommodation, the better, and they can decide then on where they want to go. We've also put together a travel trade toolkit. We saw that there was a bit of a gap in our information provision, and we have been targeting businesses but not the travel trade. So we worked with Visit Wales on developing a travel trade toolkit, And with this, we put together details on where to stay, getting about, cruise port facilities, things to do, where to shop and where to eat and drink, and all that essential information for a tour operator or travel agent to put together for their customers. We've also put together official professional imagery and video, and these are all accessible on our social channels, and they're free to download and free to use in their promotional marketing as well. So I've come to nearly the end of my presentation. This is where you can find further information about us. So these are the links to our website and our social channels, but also the toolkits. You can find us online using the handle @WalesCoastPath, and we're on the main platforms. And those are hashtags, and if you have any queries, you can easily email us on that email there. So without further ado, I just want to say thank you very much for listening. We hope that we've given you a little bit of inspiration, a few ideas on how we've engaged with businesses along the Wales Coast Path, and thank you.
That was a really good presentation from the Wales Coast Path. So some things that really inspired me, and I definitely learned a good bit from it. I really liked how some of the businesses have adapted to the path, like the coastal bus service. Thought that was extremely good, and just seeing how they promote the trail. Now I know that they're streets ahead of us and in their promotion, but they. I love the idea of the window stickers and the Facebook community group to see what questions actually people were asking, and the different toolkits for businesses. And it's also great to see, you know, that some of the Wales Coast Path experiences, like especially the multi-activity one with the walk and the wild swimming. So very useful presentation. And again, if anybody has any questions for Eve, sorry. Her email address, we have her email address if you want to fire through any questions to us, or you can contact her directly. So that concludes all of the presentations for this evening. So I hope that has given you some really good food for thought on how your business could essentially service visitors to the IAT, and now you know exactly where the route goes, what type of visitors it will attract, what services they require. You've listened to a case study from another long distance trail of similar type of visitors, and we're very much in the infancy of marketing the trail. So now is the time to get involved, get listed on the website, get your experience through. So we will be in touch to do all that with you, so don't worry about that. So I'm just going to quickly open up if anybody has any quick questions that anybody wants to ask. Please feel free just to shout away. Basically, just maybe have a think about how maybe your business can service the visitors to the trail. If you need to partner up with anybody, start maybe having to think about who and what. But again, as I said, we will be in touch to get all that information, gather all that information for the website and for our marketing campaigns. So don't worry, we have your contact details, so you don't really have to do anything at the minute. I just want to thank you all for your time this evening, and we will, for those that couldn't attend, we'll be circulating this presentation to them as well. So thank you very much. If nobody has any more questions, I'm going to let you all go. I feel like a school teacher.
Right.